Hey everybody, welcome back to marketing. I hope you're having a great day wherever you may be having it. In our video today, we're going to be taking a look at the marketing environment. We're going to be focusing on the economic environment. Now, at this point in your marketing life, you already know quite a few things about marketing. You know about the marketing mix, or our 4 Ps as we refer to them as. The idea of the product, placement or distribution, promotion, and price. And we know about the marketing mix. We know the 4 Ps are aimed at a target market, a very well-defined group of people that we're trying to sell our product to. And we know about that already. And what we want to talk about right now is how that doesn't exist in a bubble. Our target market, our marketing mix variables, they're not just isolated in a bubble. We're not in a laboratory where we can control and experiment. They exist in the real world. And that real world has different environments that we have to operate in. There's a technological environment we have to operate in, a legal environment, a competitive environment, a cultural environment, and an economic environment. And so right now in our video, we're going to go through a few of those kind of unique items in that economic environment that we have to consider in marketing when we're developing our marketing strategy. So the economic environment, economic factors that influence consumer buying power and marketing strategies, like the overall health of the economy. And we'll talk in a moment about the business cycle and where we're at and how that has an impact on marketing. Inflation is a part of that, as is discretionary income, the amount of income people have to spend after they have paid off all the bills that they have to pay. And then we'll kind of talk about employment levels as well as being part of the overall economic picture. For example, we always like to use an example in our marketing classes. We're using Disney parks, and we'll maybe talk about Disney World down in Florida and how the economic environment will impact Disney World and Disney parks in general. And so let's talk about the business cycle. You've probably heard about it in your other management classes, or maybe you've heard about it on the news, but there's this idea that our economy moves in waves. It kind of moves in cycles that repeat over and over and over again. Now, the length of the cycles may vary, but the cycle kind of goes through the exact same process. We have a peak, a recession, maybe if it gets bad enough, a depression, then we have a recovery and an economic expansion. And the economy kind of moves all the way through those particular phases. Now, where we're at right now, and it might depend on who you talk to or what kind of news you consume. If you talk to someone who's maybe a Democrat or left-leaning person, they'll tell you, hey, we're in the expansion phase right here. Things are looking rosy and great. And if you talk to somebody on the other side of the political spectrum, they'll probably tell you that we're somewhere in recession or depression. And so it's kind of hard to get an honest answer these days when you look at it through mainstream media and a political lens. But the idea is that there's somewhat an objective measure to tell where we're at. And that objective measure is GDP, gross domestic product, which is a summation of all the goods and services being produced in the economy at any given time. We add all that together. How productive is the economy is a measure of where we're at in the business cycle. The more we produce, the more we're making, the better the economy's doing. When the economy goes bad, we make less, people buy less, and then it kind of goes out in ripples like a stone being thrown into a pond. All right? So, where are we at in the business cycle is going to determine how businesses kind of play it. And we look, if we're up at the peak, when we think about Disney parks, at peak time in business cycle, the Disney parks are going to be packed. There's going to be people everywhere. You go to Magic Kingdom, you're not going to have any elbow room because there's going to be all kinds of people there. But then as we go down the cycle into recession and maybe depression, that same park is going to be a little bit more like a ghost town. People can't afford vacation. People aren't taking time off from work. People maybe don't even have a job. And so, accordingly, the parks aren't going to be very crowded. So we have two different playbooks as a business and as a marketer. We have a playbook for the expansion and peak times, and then we have a playbook for the recession and depression times. Playbook A, during the good times, we're going to raise prices. We're going to really get every dime we can out of the consumer. We can see Disney World has been raising prices for really since the pandemic. In 2020, in March of 2020, Disney actually closed their parks. And then the second they opened them in Florida, which would have been July of 2020, they started raising prices and consistently have been raising prices on their tickets and been raising prices on their hotel rooms and food and things you buy at the parks. And they were doing that really before COVID. And so they kind of were raising prices, and COVID hit. They had a brief period where they had to lower them to get people to come out during the pandemic, and then they went right back to raising prices again. And so that is a good times playbook right there. We're going to raise prices, try to extract as much as we can from the consumer while times are good. We're also going to add new products and services. If we look at the Disney World down in Florida, we see they launched something called Genie Plus, which is a paid ride service where you can buy ride passes to get on rides without waiting in line. Added new after hours parties that are ticketed, pay hundreds of dollars to get in after the park closes. And they've opened up new restaurants and new attractions. So during those kind of recovery and prime times in the economy, you'll see stuff like that too. You'll see businesses rolling out new services, new products to try to entice customers. And so that all kind of happens during our expansion and peak times. When things go bad, things become lean, well, we got to start offering discounts to get consumers to come out. And we see right now, Disney is offering a 4-day, 4-park ticket for $99 a day. And regularly, a ticket might go anywhere from $119 to $179 a day. So pretty big discount there. 25% off hotel rooms, 35% if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. And note, that's during the holiday season. When you see a place like Disney discounting things during the holiday season, that's a pretty good sign that maybe they're having some difficulty getting people in the door. Maybe a sign of a struggling economy. And of course, when we think about the marketing and the advertising, a lot of it's going to be geared towards promoting sales, discounts, deals, value, that kind of thing. And so 2 different playbooks that we're going to follow depending on where we're at in the business cycle. Mentioned inflation, a general rise in prices. And if you've bought groceries in the past year, you've probably seen inflation firsthand. Now, what I have right here, I went to the grocery store the other day with the family. We bought groceries for our family of 3. Me, my wife, and our soon-to-be 15-year-old daughter. That's it, 3 people. And you can see our total came to $177. And that is after nearly $30 in coupons. And so you're talking about a $200 grocery bill in August of 2023. As you can see the date right there. And so extrapolate that out. I don't think my family consumes an inordinate amount of food, but if we take that over an entire year, 52 weeks, you're talking nearly $10,000 just to buy groceries and put food on the table. And so inflation, we talk about inflation, what did that look like last year? And how does that compare to right now? How did prices go up? It just so happens I have a grocery receipt from last year. And you see right there, August 21st, 2022, almost the exact same week. My family, probably like yours, we go out and get groceries once a week. Look here, $131. And I'm not saying we bought the exact same thing, y'all, but you get the idea. We bought pretty much the exact same thing, and now it's $40 more from one year to the next. Okay, so big deal, $40. But we take that difference and look at it over the course of a year. A year ago, I was paying a little under $7,000 for groceries. Now I'm paying $9,000. That $2,000 difference for some people, even me included, might be the difference between going to Disney World and not going to Disney World. going on a vacation, not going on a vacation. Maybe you'll stay closer to home because now so much of my budget is being consumed by things I have to buy just to live. And so we talk about this idea of discretionary income. How much income does the consumer have after they've paid for their necessities, after they've paid for food and shelter? What's left over that they can spend on maybe electronics or vacations or going to the movies or whatever the case might be. When the economy goes into a recession, people have fewer jobs, unemployment goes up, there's less discretionary income. And so businesses really have to work hard at providing a good value proposition to try to get that consumer dollar, because there's not many extra dollars floating around for consumers to buy maybe frivolous things like a Disney World vacation. So the business cycle is very important. Let me go back to the business cycle here and show you one more time. When we're in peak territory here, low unemployment, high discretionary income, consumers are willing to spend money on different things. Then we start to go into recession. Consumers kind of close that wallet a little bit. Now they're just buying necessities. Maybe it's because of inflation, maybe it's because of unemployment, maybe a combination of the two. But now we see consumers tighten the purse strings and businesses start to react. They offer more sales, they lay off people, and they pause expansion plans. All that stuff happens. But then eventually we recover and we go into an expansion. And then businesses can start to raise prices again, increase services and all that. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the economic environment. Businesses have to understand where the economy is, but they also kind of have to make a prediction of where it's going. They don't want to be completely reactive. They want to be proactive. If we're down at the bottom of a recession, but things are starting to turn the corner, businesses need to be prepared and be ready to handle that and be ready to switch playbooks. There's a different playbook for every part of the business cycle. As always, if you have any questions about what we've talked about today or what we've talked about or what we've seen in the reading, I should say, feel free to reach out to me. You have my contact information. I'd be happy to talk about any questions that you might have or any examples that you might have to share. If you have a great marketing story about the economic environment and how it's impacted you and your purchasing habits, or maybe the business that you work at, hey, I'd love to hear that too. Feel free to reach out. We've got more fun things to talk about with the marketing environment. We'll come back with a few more videos and knock those out. Until then, take care, everybody.